I saw on Friday night, Barbara Waters did a special on, what's that governor name from South Carolina?
Stanford.
Mark Sanford? Sanford? Sanford. Mark Sanford. Everybody know who he is?
No.
The governor of South Carolina.
I don't know.
He was, his wife caught him cheating on her with another woman in Argentina.
Oh, yeah.
Argentina, right? And so Barbara Waters did a special on that on Friday night. I'm sitting there looking at this special, and normally when I'm looking at something like that, I would be judging the situation, judging the man for cheating on his wife, and judging the woman for how she dealt with it, right? But this time, I'm watching this program with no judgment of it at all. Have you ever lived that way? No. If you want to live a life without judgment. I mean, you have not known freedom or seen reality until you can live a life without judgment. And that's how God wants us to live. When he said, don't judge, he was serious about that. Because as long as you're judging, you're not going to be able to have a relationship with him because you are God. And sometimes you're judging it, you're not even knowing that you're not aware that you're judging, right? Because as you're watching another person, your thoughts are telling you things about that. Oh, how awful that person is. Look how bad that is. That is so wrong. Why would he do that? Or why would she do that? You ever had that happen? Your thoughts are talking to you. Nobody had that? I used to have that.
Yes.
And still get it sometimes now.
Yes.
But this time I'm looking at the situation, and Mark Sanford, that's his name?
Yes.
Governor Sanford. He had, in the material world, he had everything that a man would want. He really did. He had a beautiful wife. His wife was a beautiful woman. She wasn't some little fat, ugly woman. She was a beautiful woman. And white men love beautiful, skinny women. Did y'all know that? That's why not too many of them are marrying black women. Too big. And even when Pat married his wife, he made sure that, you know what, you're not going to get any fatter, right? And so he's starving her to keep her there. But just kidding. Pat doing this. But Mark Sanford had a beautiful wife. He had 4 boys. Now, it's hard to find a man to make 4 boys. These men are so weak today, the first boys are girls. Oh, sorry, Ken. I forgot you had all girls, huh? But this guy had 4 boys. Can you imagine what it's like to have 4 boys? And he was the governor, beautiful, educated wife who really helped him get his career going to become governor. And yet, there was something else driving this guy to do something that he did not want to do, or something that would cause him to lose his family and possibly lose his entire career. They showed, his wife, by the way, found a letter that he wrote to his girlfriend. That's how it started getting out. And she still tried to cover up for him, but he wrote this letter to his girlfriend talking about how much he loved her and all that kind of stuff, right? And so when she, and I'll make a long story short, when she found this letter, she said, the only way we're going to stay together is that you're going to have to drop this relationship and not do this anymore. You're going to have to stand up and be a man. And he said, okay, honey, I'll do it. I won't do this again. And so she believed it, and they hung out for a while. And then this woman came to New York, or went to New York to visit, and Mark Sanford, according to his wife, begged her to let him go to New York to be with this woman. Isn't that amazing? He was like, please, according to her, I just want to go and hang out with her for a little while in New York. And she finally gave in to it and said yes, thinking that that was going to end the relationship. Now, this guy is being driven by something that all of us are driven by until we overcome it. And then, so she allowed him to go, and she's talked about the pain that she had while he was in New York with this woman. She couldn't rest, she couldn't sleep, because she thought that she was going to lose her husband. And then they came back, they got it together again for a while. And then Mark decided that he wanted to go to Argentina and see this woman. Just think about this. The governor of South Carolina, he left his post without letting the Secret Service know, without putting someone in charge of the state while he was gone. He snuck off and left the city unprotected because of this drive that he had for this woman. Isn't that amazing?
Yes.
And they showed this guy going through the airport, dragging a suitcase, going to see this woman, sneaking off into Argentina. And I'm thinking, that is something else, how that spirit can make you do something that will cause you to destroy your whole life. Isn't that something? This guy was really doing stuff that he didn't want to do, but he was stuck on this woman. And I'm thinking, what is it about us as human beings that we can get so into a material thing or person that it would drive us to destroy ourselves, our families, and our country? And a lot of people don't deal with that spirit that's made a home inside of us that make us do the things that we don't want to do. And here's the answer to that. Because of our anger, and because of the lack of love, we're forced to do things that we don't want to do, because when you don't have that love, when you have that anger, you don't have love, and you're driven by God, which is of the devil, the nature of God, that forces you to do what you don't want to do. But because people don't see it, don't understand what's going on, we look at it in a physical sense. People are really not getting help to overcome that, because we can overcome it. But we're not been told how to overcome it, and we're not dealing with that spirit that make us do the things that we don't want to do. And that's the problem. The world don't understand that. Even Christian preachers don't understand it. That's why they don't talk about it. But I'm here to tell you that if you can drop your anger, if you can forgive, then God will forgive you. And that thing that made you do wrong will have no more control on you, over you. And the spirit that causes you to do right would drive you, and you can't help but do the right thing. But you must be born again. You need a new identity. And that's why the people doing the things, most people don't want to do what they're doing. Most people don't want to be mean. They don't want to be unhappy. They don't want to destroy their families. This woman that he went after looked just like his wife. They were both skinny. They had red hair, or brown hair, whatever color. They looked just alike. It wasn't like he was going to something new. But because he has this resentment, I guarantee you, toward his mother, he's subject to women in that way, and he's driven by that, to a point of losing his family. Isn't that pretty sad?
Yes.
This is why God said we must be born again. And this is why we can't judge one another, because until we are born again, we're all controlled by the same spirit. We're all the same in that way. We need a new identity. We need a new spirit inside of us. We must be born again. Judgment is any decision that you make. Any decision that you make about right or wrong or anything. And the beauty about that, and when you let that go, especially if the focus is on you, you're going to see what's going on with the people around you. Like when I was watching this video or this documentary that Barbara was putting on, and I stood and just observed what was happening, I could see the real spirit of what is going on with this man. And that's what was driving me, and that's what drives everybody until you overcome it. But if you're sitting there listening to all these ideas about the guy, this is right, this is wrong, this is right, this is wrong, all you're doing is judging based on the intellect, based on what you have learned about right from wrong, and you're no good to nobody, not even to yourself. But if you're not conscious of it, you're not even aware, or you think the decisions that you're making are right. You really think that they're right because they're coming from your voice, they're coming out of your head, they seem right. But any decision you make is a judgment, any. And you have to, when you're seeking God, He will cause you to come to a point within where you would stand still in life and allow life to happen. It will happen by itself. Now that's an interesting way and an interesting concept, but I'm a living witness that life will happen by itself. But it's hard to find anybody who is allowing life to happen. You feel like you gotta have you gotta have something to do with it. But it will happen by itself. Any resistance that you put up against it is preventing life from happening by itself. You're not supposed to put a resistance up against life. You're supposed to relax and just let it happen. Isn't that amazing?
Yes.
That is amazing, Jesse. You cannot put any resistance up. As long as you have an ego, as long as you have a will, you're going to put a resistance up to life. And life is a struggle. It really is. That's why it's so important that you focus on yourself, you seek the kingdom of God, and He will start to show you these things. And then you can live. And for me to know this, I'm telling you, nobody's telling me this. It is real. And you see, I'm uneducated. I'm a black man in racist America. Isn't that how they say it?
Yes.
Black man in a racist society?
Yes.
Which is a lie, but that's what they say. But the God that I'm talking about is greater than anything out there. America is not a racist society, but that's just a lie that the people have been told, and they live like that, thinking that. But you got to be conscious enough to see this going on. I'm telling you, watching that film the other night, Mark Sanford had a good wife. If what she was saying was true, the way she presented herself and the way she cared about her husband and all she did for him, he had a good and beautiful wife. There was no need to go out there looking for any other wife. He had everything that he wanted in a woman. And yet, make sure everybody turn their cell phones off. And yet, because of his hatred of women, because of that spirit, that anger that's in his heart, one woman wasn't enough for him. And then the illusion is, once he get with this woman, if they should get together, because his wife filed for divorce, the excitement of that is going to fade away too. And reality is going to set in, and that won't be enough for him. He'll be looking for another, because the problem is with him, not with finding all these women. The problem is with Ed, not with all the successes that he can have and making the money and all that. That's not the problem. It's a spiritual problem. It really is. And that's why God wanted us to do that. He wanted us to be His children so He could give us the best life that you can possibly have, starting from within first. It's not about the things that you have or don't have or the people you're with.